Welcome to the First Nations Health Managers Association's weekly town hall. Over the next hour, we will provide an update on the COVID-19 pandemic and then focus on what we can do to close the 87,500-hour life expectancy gap. Join us as we speak with health professionals, subject matter experts, and Indigenous leaders. Send us your questions to fnhma@ihtoday.ca. We want to hear from you. And now your host, Marion Crow.
Tansay, from the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Wendat, the Huron, the Haudenosaunee, we are broadcasting from the NationTalk studio in Toronto. It is so lovely to be with you all again. All of you folks welcoming us into your territories, your organizations, your homes. This is where you get your credible, reliable information. And you'll notice we're transitioning our show a little bit here. For all of you longtime viewers and listeners, we want to just thank you for getting all of the information regarding COVID-19 here at the FNHMA Town Hall. But you'll notice we're transitioning a little bit, just like all of those public health guidelines. We're flexible, we move with science. And now we're going to talk about how we close the gap in the life expectancy. So did you guys know that Indigenous people live 87,500 hours less than the rest of Canada? How do we close that gap? Well, we hope to use the rest of our airtime for this season, giving you supports and tools to close those gaps. It is, and I know we're broadcasting live right now, but today is the International Day of Women. And here at the FNHMA Town Hall, it's no exception. We are an all Indigenous, all ladies, subject matter experts being brought to you today. Woohoo! Right? I'm so excited. And our guests in the background are with me and doing the hype. I love it. The other thing I want to mention is I added my missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls pin just because it is our day. And let's not forget, while we have voices here, there are those, our sisters, our aunties, those that don't have the voice. So we remember and bring them, their spirit into these circles as well. So this is a town hall takeover as well, I want to say. The first People's Wellness Circle is back for a second time, taking over the airwaves, the broadcast waves. And if you have a question for any of our guests, or if you have an idea for an upcoming town hall, you know the drill. Send those to fnhma@ihtoday.ca and we'll get those questions answered either today or at a later time in our broadcast series. The other shout out I want to do is I want to say a really big congratulations to our partner, NationTalk. Today I got a note, and I have to pull it up because I don't want to get it wrong because it's such a good message. And I will turn off my beeping watch in a second. I'm sorry I did that, but I do want to say congratulations to Dawn Barraclough, owner of NationTalk and Indigenous Health Today, that's IH Today, for being inducted into the 2022 Hall of Fame for Canada's Marketing, Advertising, PR, and Communications Award. That is fresh off the press in today. Yeah, right? Let's lift each other up. I love it. Now, while we're lifting each other up, folks, I want to lift up the First People's Wellness Circle, and I want to share some of the important work they have been doing. So Chris in the studio, let's go to our first break.
There's no such thing as an old addict. You either get clean or you die. I knew I needed to stop for my kids and my grandkids. There is hope and there is people that do care and they do love you. I learned that our culture teaches something very powerful: compassion. Through acts of kindness and compassion, we find meaning in ourselves. I found connection. When we're connected, we're never alone.
There's lots of bullying at the school that I come from. I ended up in a neck brace. I had a concussion. I got kneed in the back of the head. Sometimes things can get really bad and you think, oh, like, there's no point of, like, being here. The support from people around you has a lot to do with the anxiety and depression. Because I'm different, a lot of people didn't understand. Through acceptance, we find belonging.
That makes my heart happy to see those very strong, significant, and important words from First Peoples Wellness Circle, the Thunderbird Partnership Foundation, and us at the First Nations Health Managers Association. Okay, are we ready for a takeover? Yeah, I think so. Taking over, Dr. Brenda Restool. She's the Chief Executive Officer at the First Peoples Wellness Circle. Dr. Brenda Restool, come on into the crow's nest.
Really glad to be here again, Marion, and I'm really excited to have the opportunity to be here on International Women's Day. And like you, I have some earrings showing the pride and the strength of women. And so pleased that we have an all-women panel to talk about mental wellness today. Today, we're really wanting to focus on how to take care of each other during this time. You know, as an Original people, we have our teachings about our interrelationships and the collective well-being of our nations and our citizens. And I just need to note that that collective well-being starts with how we introduce ourselves, right? And I forgot to do that. So I just want to say, Ani and Bojo, I come to you from the territory of Nabizing. Wapsequence Dijnakas, Magisi Dodem, Dokis Dinjaba, Anishinaabe Endau, Debendigo Saking. And so when we introduce ourselves that way, we are connecting ourselves to our communities, our nations, the land, and to our spirits. And those are all really critically important in these conversations about mental wellness. We want to talk today about the importance of how we take care of each other. And so, you know, you mentioned at the top of the show, First Nations people, we have lost 87,500 years of lost life. We just don't live as long because we've experienced significant colonial traumas in all of our lifetimes, and that has followed us from generation to generation. And it has meant that we don't live as long and we have more challenges and difficulties. And when we think about the last 2.5 years, we've experienced so many difficulties. It's been really significantly challenging for some of our people. You know, we've had stresses, and some of those stresses that we've all had to live through have been the pandemic and all of those public health measures of isolation and staying apart while being together, you know, the masking, trying to remember all of the different rules and regulations that we need to be under, struggling with what we can't do, who we can't see, but also during this time, we've been triggered. We've had colonial triggers happen for us. You know, whether that was at the time of border closures and feeling like a reminder of some of the colonial experiences that we've had. And we've also experienced more racism and heard about racism to our people during this time. And that's been really difficult. We've also heard and suffered and wept together around the recovery of children at former Indian residential schools, remembering that that is an auntie, a great auntie, an uncle, or a great uncle to somebody in our family and in our community. And it has really, really hit home. A lot of these things have resulted in so many triggers of trauma to our people. We've heard that it has increased feelings of low mood and depression. It has made us more worried. So we have a lot more worried thinking, more anxiety. We've seen challenged relationships, made it difficult for people to do the things they normally do, go to school, go to work. It's also increased people's negative ways of coping, whether that was substance use or in using some form of substance to numb. And it might not be just drugs, but from gambling or overeating or all kinds of things. And it's just generally led to increased demands and services. And we've heard, and in the work that I do, we've seen longer wait times for people to access those services, whether they've been in our communities or in the urban centers. And so people have gone without supports or services, or sometimes they've not known where to turn or recognize that they're struggling, because it's kind of been a little bit of a creep of a downhill struggle for people over time. They maybe haven't seen it. So what we're going to do here today is I've invited two guests who work every day to close the gap. They work tirelessly in their communities, and we want to talk about what we can each do, whether we be a worker, a frontline worker, a leader, a parent, an aunt, uncle, grandparent, friend, neighbor, what we can do to close the gap and to improve our life expectancy as First Nations people. How to be good helpers. We want to talk about what can we do to be good helpers, what we can do, each and every one of us, to improve the collective well-being of our nations, of our families, of our communities. And one of those things that we want to do is make sure that we think about what can we do to increase hope, belonging, meaning, and purpose. And you know, Marion, I can't be on the show without bringing up those four really, really important points about hope, belonging, meaning, and purpose, because each of those things tell us about the importance of well-being, and what we do to raise people up so they have those in their lives means that we close that gap around the life expectancy, the 87,500 years. We want to shorten that gap and live long, healthy lives, and make sure that our elders are around to pass on language and teachings and culture for generations to come. And I'm reminded by an elder who said, if we live our teachings, we can live to 150 years. And that's been shown in our creation story. So that's our challenge to you. Let's move back to working towards living 150 years, because that was part of our original teachings. So today, my first guest, I'm looking to have her come in and talk a little bit about children and youth. We know that they are our future. How we take care of ourselves and the community has an impact on our children, our grandchildren, and their children for the next generations. These stages of life, childhood and youthhood, are full of experiences that can either help them to grow and to flourish, or to struggle and to have difficulties in adulthood and affect those 87,500 hours. And we want to be able to support young people so that they can live long, healthy lives. So youth is a time of transition. It's of seeking and learning about their identity, their individual and personal identity, their family and community identity, and what it means to be Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, Mi'kmaq, all of those things. We want them to learn about that. And we want them to learn what it means to be proud Indigenous First Nations people. So we want to help them. We want to talk and learn about what can we do so they can deal with things like loss of social circles that they've had during this pandemic, the isolation that they've experienced, how to prepare for transitions, the struggles they've had with loss of cultural and other types of strategies to promote their well-being, how to deal with loss, how to deal with trauma and stress. All of those things are areas that we'd really like to help you to think about and to know how you can talk to our young people about those things. So today I've invited Julie Coote. She's a child and youth mental health and addictions worker from Nipissing First Nation. And she's going to come in and talk to us about supporting kids to connect, to support them, to have hope, belonging, meaning, and purpose. So Julie, why don't you come on into the crow's nest?
Miigwech, Brenda. Anin Bojo, Zawa Nankwe, Nishnaabe Nozwin, Gizidodem, Beezing Donjaba, Giakmasing the right path donuki, tumnuenda ma nongum akin bizing. I'm grateful and honored to join you from Nipissing land. For those of you familiar with the Nipissing community, my roots are with the Bocage and Goulet families. I also have relations in Temagami and Dokis First Nation communities. I'm going to share with you today how you can support youth with mental health needs to access help. From our Indigenous perspective, there are teachings to go along with the various stages of life that we walk through. Depending on your nation of origin, the teachings vary. For Anishinaabe people, the stages of life that our young people experience are referred to as the good life for children generally aged 0 to 7, and the fast life for children around the ages of 7 to 14. These two stages of life include many beautiful milestones, celebrations, cultural protocols, and ceremonies to support young ones on their path and to support their families. These stages of life also bring challenges, both for the young person and for the family. And it's not uncommon for communities as a whole to pause and give thought on how to better support children and youth. Having worked in a helping capacity as a counselor with children and youth in Nipissing First Nation and other nearby communities for 9 years, I can say that walking alongside children and youth who encounter mental health challenges is very rewarding. To know that you are helping young people address mental health struggles that 1 or 2 generations ago we weren't even necessarily speaking about or acknowledging. We can help young people develop coping skills and access help for things that may help them have a smoother time in adulthood. By addressing stress and trauma, we are not only improving quality of life, but perhaps even length of life, adding to one's overall health and well-being. And it may help youth be more prepared to help their peers, which is often their first point of contact when they are having difficulty. The pandemic, as I'm sure we have all observed, has brought on new challenges for wellness and setbacks for some young people in terms of their mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual well-being. As frontline counselors, wellness workers, or concerned family and community members, we can serve as a vital connection or as a bridge to help young people access support when they need it. Family and community members may be sometimes uncertain about how to talk with a young person about accessing support. They may observe that a child or youth needs help, but they may be unsure of how to bring it up or how to guide the young person to help. As I speak about my experience working with children and youth, I am also a parent. My suggestions today can be relevant to helpers in a frontline work role or as a concerned family or community member. Relationship is important. I very much focus on building a relationship. I take time to get to know the young person. I talk with them, ask them questions about their interests, friends, family, school, pastimes. Eventually, as their comfort level with me increases, I'll ask about how things are going in their life, how they've been feeling, who they get along with. They may start to tell me more about their friends, online relationships, and family relationships. I ask about what makes them happy, frustrated, sad, etc. I build off of whatever they are willing to share with me and ask questions in an open, non-judgmental way. I don't share my opinion on what they share with me. I do a lot of listening. At this early stage, it's most important that they feel safe and supported. It is less important that they hear my thoughts and opinions. So, what to say to youth to shift them to acknowledging that they may benefit from support? If a young person is reluctant to acknowledge that they are experiencing a difficult time, it might be helpful to make statements around what you are noticing in a matter-of-fact, non-judgmental way. For example, I've noticed that you don't seem to have the energy that you used to. You haven't been skating at the rink or playing basketball with your friends in a while now. And then leave it open for their response. They may not respond right away, but they will hear that you've acknowledged it, and it might get them thinking about what's going on for them. Or another example, if they've been really irritable. I've noticed you've been losing patience a lot with your younger sister or brother or your friends. You used to like playing with them or hanging out with them, but now they seem to bother you and make you angry. And just allow them to respond. They may respond defensively, but it will likely lead them to think more about it, and it shows them that you're noticing. If the young person does acknowledge a difficulty, for example, low mood or worry, it can be helpful to normalize that for them. People often tend to be really hard on themselves, and so if they are struggling, they may judge themselves very harshly and think that they are weak or flawed. Normalizing could involve telling the young person, you know, it's common for people to feel that way. And then give them some information such as, people who have low mood or depression tend to be really tired and irritable. It can lead them to miss a lot of school and to feel like they'll never be able to catch up. Or sometimes they don't care about things anymore. So you're not alone if you're feeling that way. A next step could be giving them hope. This could involve saying something like, although you're feeling this way right now, just know that people do come out of this. Or another example, people who struggle with worries or anxiety can develop ways to manage it so that it doesn't continue to get in your way and prevent you from feeling good and doing things. You don't have to feel this way forever. This may shift them a little to being open to getting support. If the young person acknowledges having difficulties, it can be helpful to explore the ways that the difficulty is impacting their life. We can do this by asking questions. So, how does being tired all the time affect you in your life? How does it get in your way? Or how do the fears and worries get in your way? What do they prevent you from doing that you wish you could do? By supporting the young person to explore how the problem is impacting them, this can help them be invested in accessing help. Perhaps using the medicine wheel as a model and working through each quadrant. How does the depression or the worries affect you emotionally, mentally, physically, and spiritually? What is preventing you from living the good life? A next step could be planting a seed by suggesting that help is available. So saying, there is help out there for people who struggle with low mood, depression, worries, or anxiety. And then lay out some options. It's very important for young people, and adults for that matter, to feel empowered and to feel that they have control over their lives and what happens to them. So giving choices and options every step of the way is important. If a person feels coerced, they will resist and they may not open up to you again. So you want to proceed in the spirit of partnership. So for example, saying something such as, there is help for you. Can I give you some information about the supports that are out there? So as a helper, you're not making a decision for them about what they need to do next. Rather, you're asking if you can give them information about the choices they have. Give the young person options for help. Who can they turn to? Do they want to talk to someone that they already know and trust in the community? Or do they want to connect with someone by chat, text, or email in a more anonymous way? Do they want to connect by video? Would they consider calling a help phone line? Do they want to get connected to cultural teachings, land-based activities, and elders or knowledge keepers? Or do they want to do sports or connect with peer supports, such as a gender diverse affirming community group? Or maybe they would like to be a shkabewis, a helper at land-based activities. Being a helper can go a long way to helping a young person connect with others and give them a sense of purpose by contributing to the wellness of others. If they are receptive to hearing the options for support and you've shared that information, you may then want to give them time to think about it. You can ask them, are you willing to commit to speaking with someone at least once to hear about how they can help you or to see if it's a fit for you? If they agree, perhaps that support person, counselor, or Indigenous knowledge keeper can talk with them and have them commit to coming back at least once more. Empower youth to have choice and control over decisions being made in their lives. If they're receptive to hearing about the options for support, you can then offer to help connect them if they wish. It can be difficult to initiate contact and explain what is going on or what they need help with. It might be helpful to make that first contact for them if they agree to that, or to accompany them or sit by them when they reach out. Get their permission if you're going to contact a support person on their behalf. This helps to build trust and keeps the young person as an active participant in decision making. As a concerned adult, if you're uncertain how to move forward to help a young person, contact a local resource in your community or one of the resources being shared with you today on this program. The more we can help guide our younger generation, the stronger our circle will be. And that concludes my suggestions for supporting young people to seek help for mental health needs. Miigwech gabzinde weyeg. Thank you for listening.
Wow, Julie, that was fantastic. There's so much words there that we can all take away. Know that from talking about making sure this is a partnership, building relationships, being open and non-judgmental, and even making sure that that young person makes the decisions. They're empowered and they do what makes sense for them, and that we support them throughout all of this. We can all do that. We each have a role in that. And I really, really appreciate all that you shared. That planting the seed is a perfect time to be thinking about it as we move into spring. What can we do to plant seeds for people to get help, to get support, and to find their own way to wellness? Miigwech. Now, we're going to change topics and we're going to look at the next stages of life, and that's in adulthood. And you know, when we support kids, it means that we need to have healthy, flourishing adults and older adults. The pressures of adulthood means that we might find our adults managing and being in multiple roles. Adults have their day-to-day jobs, their parents, they're taking care of their kids. They might be also supporting friends. They might be supporting the community. They might be even supporting their parents who maybe are aging. So there's so many things that they themselves are dealing with. Plus, somewhere in there, they have to find time for themselves. And sometimes it can just seem like a lot. And we have to make sure that we're helping people to think about what they need to do. Making sure that they're taking care of themselves, that they're not having too much difficulty with coping, and that they're not putting themselves in a position of burning out or being overly fatigued, or that they're having difficulty navigating what to do during this pandemic, or dealing with racism maybe as part of their job or in their day-to-day lives, because we find it in the systems we find ourselves in education, in health, in social service, and on. Child and family service agencies, we find it. And so racism comes up frequently. Or we also want to make sure that they're being able to manage a lot of these colonial traumas that we hear on the news every day, and that we see in our social media feeds. So we want to make sure that we've got support for our adults to get the help that they need. We want them to have a good life. And when they have a good life and we have that circle of support, as Julie has said, then we know that they are in a position to start to close the gap of the 1887 500 hours, so that we are better together and growing and flourishing. And so I'm really happy that I'm bringing in my next guest, Lisa Mayawasage. Lisa is going to come today and talk to us about what we can do to support the adults in our life to improve their life and improve the life of their children, their grandchildren, the community, and generations to come. So Lisa is from Mameswing, North Shore Community Health Services in Ontario. And Lisa, I'm going to call you into the crow's nest now. Why don't you come on in and share some work that you're doing over in the North Shore?
Awesome, miigwech, Brenda. So, Ani, bonjour, minagijagate. I just said, hello, good day, eh? I'm come to you today from the sunny shores of the beautiful North Channel of Lake Huron, Robinson-Huron Treaty Territory in Ontario. So, as Brenda mentioned, I'm the Mental Wellness and Minabamatsuwin Director for Mamwezing North Shore Community Health Services. I'm here today to share with you some of the services we offer to our community members, including our staff and frontline workers here along the North Shore. So our mental wellness and Minabamatsuwin services, or Minabamatizing, meaning at the place of good living, our services are designed to help individuals, family, and community work together to help restore hope, meaning, belonging, and purpose for everyone. If we want to increase our life expectancy for Indigenous peoples, it takes us all working together, Mamwezing, working together to help make that happen. We have a bundle of services we offer here at Mamwezing that will assist our community members and their family struggling with mental wellness and addiction issues. First and foremost, we recognize that our culture is our treatment, is our healing. When individuals embrace their Indigenous or indigeneity, who they are, where they come from, when we embrace our traditional ways and our traditional ceremonies, we begin to see the healing come from within. When we rekindle our relationship with our culture, we rekindle our relationship with others in a good way. We also recognize that healing is a journey, a lifelong activity. That is why it is called a journey. It never ends. I often tell my own children and others, some of the healthiest people in this world are those who reach out and embrace help and support from others. In the spirit of generosity and reciprocity, we receive help and we help others. We offer traditional medicines, knowledge exchange, and traditional teachings through our traditional healing program. We have a traditional medicine practitioner that harvests and prepares many different remedies to help individuals struggling with anxiety, depression, addictions, and the physical ailments attributed to their mental wellness and or addiction issues. When our medicine wheel is not balanced, we help bring balance back. That's what we do as helpers in our community. Our mental wellness crisis support team assists individuals, their family, and community through crisis by offering one-on-one counseling. We offer family circles, community sharing circles. We do crisis debriefing for frontline workers and first responders. Our crisis services are offered 24/7. Our staff rotate for our after hours and on-call weekend services. We also offer same-day single session services through a full and robust team of counselors here on the North Shore. We have implemented a mental wellness and Minabamatsuwin central intake number where individuals can call to get connected to our services. Here in Ontario, we also have Connects Ontario, which can help individuals connect to their local mental health and addiction services. Our mental wellness and Minabamatsuwin team also offers capacity building through training initiatives for individuals and frontline workers in many different areas. Just to name a few, we offer First Nations mental health first aid, assist or applied suicide intervention skills training, nonviolent crisis intervention and de-escalation, safe talk for youth, Again, our training is open for everyone in our communities, individuals, staff, leadership, so our chief and council, management, to help raise awareness and support those in need. Remember, you don't need to be a registered counselor to offer support to family and friends. You just need to be a good listener with an open heart and help point individuals in the right direction to services that can help support them. Our FASD, or Fetal Alcohol Spectrum Disorder Program, assists families with FASD service navigation, awareness, and capacity building for frontline workers and families, supporting children and families with FASD. We also offer training to assist those frontline workers and family members how to approach this conversation with family or community members if FASD is suspected, and the services we can offer to help support the child and family. We use a trauma-informed approach, and without shaming or blaming, recognizing we walk together on our healing journey. Through our children's respite care services, we offer respite care support for children with high needs, 0 to 17 years old, and their family. And I get it. As parents, we're so busy, as Brenda talked about, and workers, we need support too. And sometimes we need that break, that respite. So our services, we assist matching families and workers and hold the funds in trust for families accessing our respite care program. We also offer respite care training for adults 18 and over wanting to become a respite care provider within our program. We've got a lot of respite care workers on the North Shore, but we're always looking for more, especially men, to help support our young boys in the program. With COVID, we were able to take this program virtually with the purchase of tablets and internet sticks we purchased for our families in need. So we did a hybrid model of in-person as well as virtual visits where we were able to do that. So very exciting stuff. And finally, I want to talk about our Nandaway Najmowan program, or known as Assisting in the Healing Movement Toward the Good Life. And I'm really excited about this program and sharing it with you today. This program is a 5.5 day cultural-based program for adults 18 and over who want to gain insight into the connection between childhood trauma and experiences and their adult behaviors. So this program is designed to eradicate or to end intergenerational trauma, child abuse and child neglect, and domestic violence in our communities. As Indigenous peoples, we know the deep wounds we carry from colonialism, residential school, the 60s scoops, discrimination, stigma, and racism. We are witness to and are afflicted with cultural identity loss ourselves. For me, my personal story, I struggled with cultural identity for many, many years through no one's fault but society, right? We have all been harmed and we have all caused harm. Without shaming or blaming, this program helps individuals walk together to unpack unhealthy behaviors we carry today and have passed on to our children. Intentionally or unintentionally, we've passed on our stuff. It will help increase your understanding of the connection between your childhood experiences and adult behavior, and to help gain awareness about relational styles and their impact on communication. How am I talking, and how are you receiving it? How are we hearing each other's words? And how are we saying those words? This program also helps individuals gain skills that contribute to listening and responding to others with a caring heart. It helps you talk with your children, your family, your community. It helps individuals really just connect heart to heart, human being to human being. The elders often say, we are all spirits in this world, but we're on a human being journey. right? Well, we're in this life, so we need to walk in a good way. So this program, we learn to ask and be curious with what happened to you as opposed to what's wrong with you, right? There's nothing wrong with us. It's something has happened to us, right? When we know our own self, our own behaviors that are having negative impacts in our relationships, we can then begin to heal and learn new ways that promote healing for ourselves, our families, and our communities for 7 generations. 7 generations forever. It never ends, right? Again, if you need help, please call your local health center and get connected to services that are available in your community, in your area. Miigwech.
Miigwech, Lisa. I just love to hear about the programs at Mameswing. They've got such amazing programs that connect people on so many different levels. And I love that message of we've all harmed and we've all been harmed, and it's nobody's fault. You know, we just need to unpack and think about what has happened to us and how to connect. And you know, I heard from both you and Julie the importance of relationships and about finding purpose and meaning for people so they feel a sense of hope and a sense of belonging to their communities. I'm going to ask both you and Julie to stick around for our Q&A. But before we get there, I wanted to just say a couple of things as in closing. One of the things that strikes me is that no matter what our ages, we all yearn to belong to our spiritual self, to our family, to our communities, our nation, and just to be connected. And whether we build relationships in informal personal ways through family and friends, or we do that in more formal services, all of those things can help build us and lift us up and close that gap, that 87,500 hour gap, so that we can belong and that we can live long, healthy lives. When I think about where we are right now, I think about the fact that in each season, there are times and experiences that can help us to heal, that can help us to cleanse, and that there are messages in each of those seasons, just like the messages you've given us today, the messages about interdependency and interrelationships, the importance of connection, the importance of collective caring, of having an ability to support each other. All of those lead to healing and wellness, and they give people that sense of hope, belonging, meaning, and purpose in their lives. And I think it's through one action that each of us can do, that we can help to close the gap of 87,500 hours of lost life expectancy for us as First Nations people. That one thing that we do, if we attend that non-dead way program, you know I have a hard time with that word. I don't know why, Lisa, but if we attend that program, it not only helps us, but it helps our families, and I heard you talk about that. And so I'm going to end with a teaching, I think, that is really reminds us about where we are right now. And I want to thank my good friend Shkabewis Perry McLeod Shabagijik for sharing this teaching. He shared the teaching about the sugar water, and that springtime is a time for cleansing. And as we move from the winter to the spring, it's a time to be thinking about renewal. In the winter time, we have the Bear Bundle. That Bear Bundle is a winter teaching that allows us to put into it all the things that are harmful or that we're struggling with or that we need to find a way to let go of. And so, you know, if you are interested in the Bear Bundle, seek out an elder. Ask about that bear bundle and begin to prepare your bear bundle as the winter is coming to an end so that you can let go of that stuff with the bear bundle and turn your attention to the springtime. The trees have received their original teachings. They have their teachings that say it is their responsibility to take care of and renew and cleanse the earth and all of those creatures, all of those relatives of ours that live on creation, including us. And so the trees have been provided with that original teaching around how to cleanse ourselves and how to heal. And the sugar water, the sap that flows from the trees in our territory is one reminder of cleansing. When we use this time to connect with the land, we connect with our spirit. So whether we collect the sugar water, it can all help us to prepare to cleanse ourselves physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. We can use this time for renewal and to move forward. It allows us to think about our bundles pulling us out into the light. As the days get longer, we can be pulled into the light in our healing, and it can help us find another place. It can keep us focused on ourselves and what we need, and not all of those things that are happening around us that are causing us to worry, world activities, etc. It allows us to focus on ourselves. So let's use this time of renewal to plant seeds, to build relationships, to renew ourselves, our spirits, to find that journey, because it's a lifelong journey. And as Lisa said, and Julie has said, if you are struggling or you know of somebody struggling, reach out for services. And we hope that we've given you some ideas about where to go. If you're not sure where to go and you're a child or a youth or a young adult, you can reach out to the Kids Help Phone, and we have the number located on this screen for you. The nice thing about the Kids Help Phone is they'll even talk to adults. So if you don't know where else to call the Kids Help Phone. We also have another line, the Hope for Wellness Helpline. Both of these lines might be crisis lines, but they also will help you to navigate and connect with services. The Hope for Wellness Helpline, if you tell them where you're located, they can tell you about local services that you can reach out to if you're in an urban center or a rural area. And finally, Lisa mentioned the good work of mental wellness and crisis support teams. There are 60 teams across this country supporting First Nations to manage and deal with many of the struggles that we've talked about here today. And so if you're not sure if there's a mental wellness team in your local region or territory, please reach out to First Peoples Wellness Circle at info@fpwc.ca, and we'll be happy to help connect you and tell you about the mental wellness teams located in the area that you live in. So let's hold on to take a short break. We'll be right back with Q&A and Marion.
I used to feel such shame. It was hard being surrounded by women who trauma and abuse left cruel streaks, violent behaviors, and disconnected ways of loving. And now I'm freeing myself from that shame. This is where our societies, our circles, our connection to the land comes in. Learn to be kind to yourself and to others.
There's a harsh world out there telling us who to be, what to be, telling us that we don't deserve love and respect unless we're something we're not. After I got assaulted, after I went through the trauma, I went back home and I connected with my roots and I connected with my family. Their wisdom helped me a lot. My family, my kinship, they rejuvenate my soul. They remind me that I deserve love. Our culture teaches us something powerful, compassion.
There's no such thing as an old addict. You either get clean or you die. I knew I needed to stop for my kids and my grandkids. There is hope and there is people that do care and they do love you. I learned that our culture teaches something very powerful, compassion. Through acts of kindness and compassion, we find meaning in ourselves. I found connection. When we're connected, we're never alone.
No words. Anyone who watches the show or knows me knows this is never happens. Never ever happens to, I'm sorry, I'm just in awe of the powerful message. And let's get all of the ladies up on screen today because we talked about the important messages and the teachings and the bear bundle. Do you want to know who my bundles are today? Right here on your screen. Thank you, Brenda. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Julie, for sharing those messages. People are, that's what I have to say. No one says it better than somebody who wrote into the inbox. And this is just a comment, but it really tells you how important this show was for countless people across Turtle Island. Now, this is somebody who used to work at FNHMA, and they say, and I'm just going to read it, "Thank you for this information. 3 youth members in my family took their lives within a 2-year timeline. Our youth need mental health assistance. Merci beaucoup." That's for you ladies, for sharing the resources, the information. We do have the supports as well. And just by the magic of TV, you have the Kids Help line. You have the Hope for Wellness line. Now people are looking for even further tools, techniques, and I'm going to dive into the inbox. Brenda, I'm going to pull you up first. Come on into the crow's nest. Somebody has a question that I want to direct to you, and then I'm going to get in a quick question for Lisa and Julie. So, Brenda, here's something that was a question last time, and I knew we were coming back. So, how do you support someone with mental health issues such as anxiety or depression? The individual is aware and acknowledges the issues, but fails to seek the support that's required. What do we do as a friend, as aunties here in our circle? Brenda, what are some words that you can offer?
Well, I think Julie had some great advice, and I'm going to steal a few of her words. The first one is making sure that we have loving, caring relationships with those folks. Being open to listening and being non-judgmental. So sometimes the best therapy is sitting around a kitchen table with a cup of tea and a bit of bannock and just allowing people to talk and to share and to ask the questions, those open-ended questions. That must be hard for you. How are you managing? Have you thought about what you could do? Is there something else that could be helpful? So instead of telling them what to do, asking them what they think they can do. Asking, have you considered, other things that maybe you haven't tried yet? Maybe somebody who has a good suggestion. So getting them to do some of the thinking and empowering them to really plan out how they could help themselves. Using those statements like, I noticed that you've been having a hard time because you are sleeping a lot or you seem to be preoccupied. Is there anything that I can help you with? Is there some place that I could help connect you that could be helpful? And sometimes it could be even, some people need to read and they need to sit on and think about things first. So can we provide them with some information to just get them thinking about why they might need additional supports more than maybe what they've been doing on their own? So relationships, non-judgmental questions, and open listening with an opportunity to direct them and empower them in ways that make sense for them.
Thank you so much, Brenda, for that answer. Julie, come in. I want to get a specific question for you. And I appreciate we're on a countdown clock, but what do you say to the person who wrote in where 3 lives, youth lives, were taken? Unfortunately, this isn't a new discussion. What kind of message for hope do you offer, Julie, for the family members, for youth that are cousins?
Well, first of all, I send a heartfelt hug and greeting expression of caring to that person. I feel for you, and it's a sad reality that we do encounter this type of loss, and we then carry those hurts with us. What I would say is just to build on suggestions I mentioned earlier. And we don't have to be professional counselors to reach out. And sometimes it's scary to reach out and to initiate that conversation, or to put yourself forward to try to connect with someone who you're concerned about. If you need support as a helper, do call the resources to get support so that you feel equipped or more comfortable to reach out. And then self-care is important. After such a loss, we need to take care of ourselves, and that might be going to the land, spending time on the land, healing, grieving, connecting to support for yourself, and also continuing to have those conversations with other family members, with that generation that we are raising, to continue to be there for them, to check in on them, to continue to be there for one another.
Julie, thank you for unpacking that. And I'm going to give 30 seconds, Lisa, to give a final thought.
A final thought? Oh my gosh, my final thought would be just listen to somebody's story in a good way and just have kind words. A simple "I'm sorry that happened to you" goes a long way in somebody taking that first step towards healing and reaching out for support. Just being there.
I love it. I love it. Thank you to our guests, to Brenda, to Lisa, to Julie. Thank you to our partners, NationTalk IH Today, for bringing these messages. And don't forget, you can catch this broadcast Saturday on APTN at 5 p.m. Thank you for being our bundles. Thank you for carrying these messages of hope, meaning, connectedness, and belonging. Just take a listen. That's all we ask. And thank you for listening to the FNHMA Town Hall. Until next week, stay safe, stay healthy, and hi.